Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday live stream. So there's a lot of good news going on, so let's just jump right into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about, as of course, everybody's taking a look at their portfolio today. Everybody's very, very happy. But it comes down to what was happening behind the scenes. While everything was shifting and people potentially were selling, and there was somebody behind the scenes maybe shorting or maybe longing, what was really going behind the scenes that was happening to lead us to this point right now? Now, today, we've seen Bitcoin in the last 7 days or so go up 10, 11, 12%, somewhere around there, correct in the comment section. And it feels pretty good. Is it sustainable? I think it potentially could be. But the real question is, what happened when everybody was selling? And this was a clip that came out from Squawk Box over in CNBC. And this is Jason D'Agostino. He's the head of strategy over at Coinbase Institutional. So he talks with a lot of movers and the shakers and the people that are actually buying Bitcoin just to see where they're at, what's going on, how they can help them, and how they can drive that strategy to get people to buy more. And what he says here, it's about a 6-minute interview. I'm going to break this down by 4 sections. And the first 45 seconds, he's going to pretty much lay it out exactly what happened. So I'm just going to have you take a listen to this, and then we'll go over the rest of the stuff, which I got to tell you, I didn't know this was actually going on, but it makes a heck of a lot of sense, especially for those of you who say, this market's manipulated. Well, guess what? You may be right.
So when we talk about decoupling, we're really talking about neutral to negative correlation. And more specifically, we're talking about negative correlation when markets panicking on the downside. Nobody minds correlation when it's upside correlation. So, first and foremost, got to be super careful, right? This is a relatively short-term data set, April. You don't want to assume it's going to persist. I could be making a fool of myself right now, and today it could jump to a 1 correlation. The other thing you want to be careful about is, even if we understood exactly the reasons, and I'll get into what we think they are, just because this occurred now, it doesn't mean if that similar set of events occurred, we'd have exactly the same behavior. So just a disclaimer, be very, very careful. And that applies to gold, that applies to any asset. So the nice thing about my position is I don't have to guess as to what traders are thinking. We're kind of the center of the crypto ecosystem. So when you called me, I made a bunch of calls. And the pools of capital that have been buying during April, sovereign wealth funds, large institutional, long-term duration pools of capital, they're looking at it big.
Right there. Sovereign wealth funds, large institutions, capital. So the question then is, okay, if all these guys were buying, and this is another thing, because we knew that sovereign wealth funds were behind the scenes. We knew that nation states were potentially behind the scenes and they were buying Bitcoin, institutions, of course. But ETFs actually have been a net negative for the month of April. So the question is, well, okay, with retail selling, which we know they have because the price went down, obviously, and then we had other individuals selling. And then behind the scenes, we have maybe some OTC players going, you know what, I'm going to keep buying and buying and buying. Now they can take advantage of it. So if there's a short squeeze in play, I would not be surprised for us to hit 95, 96 or above, especially with what's happening behind the scenes. So then it comes down to this. Well, if they were buying, what was the rationale? Was it just because Jim Cramer said it might do well? No. I think it was a pretty big play. And John's going to lay it out. He's going to say there's 3 reasons: de-dollarization, tech trading, and inflation. These are the big 3 of why people were buying Bitcoin and why they will continue to buy Bitcoin and why it will continue to go up. This is just my personal belief, but let me know where I'm wrong in the comment section. Just take a listen to this.
Basically 3 ways. One is, if you think about the tariff announcement April 2nd, if you believe that that's going to have a spillover effect on global trade, you believe there's going to be less global trade, then much of which is denominated in US dollars, then you think there'll be lower demand for US dollars that we refer to as de-dollarization. Well, some of the ways Bitcoin is used by these large pools of capital is they buy it in their local fiat currency, they hold it, and they sell it into dollars when they need it. Well, if you think dollar is going to weaken, then you don't do that anymore. And so you're holding more Bitcoin. And these, again, large insurance pools, sovereigns, et cetera. So that's one thing, is this de-dollarization trade. The second piece is that post-COVID, Bitcoin kind of got caught up in this levered tech trade, kind of just bundled into the QQQ, bundled into NVIDIA. It's not really a tech stock, but it kind of got associated with tech stocks.
Was it? I always thought that the issue was that there were retail investors who were taking their winnings, in some cases, from an NVIDIA or a Apple or Meta, whatever, one of the Mag 7, and then moving it into Bitcoin. And therefore, then it was all tracking, because to the extent that then they owned that other stuff too, whenever it went down, they had to sell out of stuff, they also were selling out of Bitcoin.
During the bubbly periods in tech stocks, that's not an unfair assumption, but I'll note one thing. So for the month of April, as you would expect, gold ETF inflows were massive, like 8.5 billion roughly from the 2nd through the 22nd. Okay. Might surprise you to learn that Bitcoin ETF flows were net negative to the tune of about 470 million. So the opposite of that was occurring. So institutions, sovereigns, patient pools of capital were piling in during April, which resulted in about a 13% increase in Bitcoin versus 10.5 for gold. And retail via the ETF were exiting. So you got to kind of ask yourself, what do the institutions know?
Were the institutions buying?
What do the institutions know? What do they know? It's amazing. Isn't that amazing how they can get ahead of us, and they seem to do the things they do behind the scenes to not pump the price initially, but to get in their grubby little hands and to accumulate. I can't blame them. That is the free, and I put that in quotes, an open market. This is where we're at. So I think behind the scenes, it's good to know what's happening, because sometimes when you take a look at it as a retail, we're all retail here, let's be honest, most every single one of us. So when we see like, well, give us a little bit of good news, something that's happening that I didn't know. I think we all knew this, but it's nice when we have someone who actually says it, who is essentially the head of strategy at Coinbase Institutional, saying, yeah, sovereign funds are buying. Yeah, institutions are buying. Yeah, retail was selling. That's just pretty much how it is and how it's always going to be. It's very hard to do the opposite thing. But once you get used to it, it's like second nature. So second to last, we're going to talk about, well, if these guys, the ones we're getting into it, were they buying real Bitcoin or were they buying like ETF Bitcoin? Because I can see the rationale for both. Honestly, I can. I mean, scammers, and we're going to get into that. We're going to get into scammers in a little bit. But I see why people would not want to have real Bitcoin. But the question is, well, what are they buying? Take a listen.
Bitcoin direct. And how many of them are now buying via ETFs or other forms?
Well, hard to say. They don't, especially the sovereign wealth funds don't report.
Right. No, but you're also, I imagine, seeing the ETFs buying, because the ETF should be buying on a
in the last couple of days.
But the ETF should be buying on a relative basis on behalf of their customer base.
Right, assuming there were inflows, right? But the last couple of days, yes, we've had inflow. But still, as of yesterday, it should change today, we've had net negative ETF inflows. So, so the first reason is de-dollarization. The second reason is this tech unwinding of this big levered tech trade and Bitcoin trading on its core characteristics, which again are similar to gold. You've got scarcity, immutability, non-sovereign asset, portability. Right. So trading the way people who believe in Bitcoin would like it to trade. Mm-hmm. The last was, to me, the most interesting, which is, I spoke to a couple of traders who said, look, if you believe these conditions, these de-dollarization conditions are going to persist, you're looking at gold, obviously, first and foremost, but maybe you missed out on that trade. You're looking at that rally and saying, I missed the boat on that. So what other assets could participate in that market panic long-term inflation hedge? When you do the work, there's a very short list of assets that mirror the characteristics of gold. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin is on that short list. In addition to the 4 characteristics I mentioned, it's mining scarcity, it's mining difficulty gets harder over time.
Yeah, and you can add 2 or 3 more good things about Bitcoin that you didn't even.
And then, so it was a good play. So now we kind of understand where things are going. And we're pretty much vindicated, because that's what we were saying all the time. It's amazing how groupthink comes together and goes, I think there's something going on behind the scenes, and here we are. And lastly, this is about a minute or so, and I was going to cut this part, but it is good as a refresher just to talk about Bitcoin, crypto, digital assets. Mostly, we're talking about Bitcoin here, but it's a nice refresher for people who get it. There's Joe there and just, crushing it. And it's good just to hear it from people, because I know over the last, year, 2 years, maybe you didn't hear the most positive things from friends, family, loved ones. As you were investing into Bitcoin, they're saying, why are you throwing sand in the ocean? That's so stupid. It's going to go to zero. Didn't you know about Tulip Mania? There's this guy named Peter Schiff, and he says it's going to zero. So that's got to be true. Blah, blah, blah. So this is good. Just take a listen to this. Get a little hopium inside you.
Even mentioned. So, maybe it never is used to wire money or whatever you want to call it over to the Far East or something, but you certainly can do it instantaneously, frictionless, right?
And you could do it overnight.
And you don't have to, in gold, you better, it's heavy, you better store it, you better insure it. There's a lot of things.
Portability is an under-looked at, it's under-emphasized skill asset. It's very, very hard to transport large amounts of cash. It's very, very hard to transport large amounts of gold. Right. You can't put $400 million of gold on a small disk drive, tuck it under your arm, and move if you need to.
Right. Someone said after gold moves, if Bitcoin starts moving, it'll move a lot more. Do you believe that?
So look, again, if you buy into this notion, and I know a couple of some of the best commodity traders in the world. And
hold on, wait, I want to emphasize this. He knows some of the best commodity traders in the world. A guy like this guy probably is pretty connected. He's talked to the best commodity traders in the world. Okay, let's just take it for face value and listen to what they say about Bitcoin.
And 5-6 years ago, they thought inflation was going to persist and be an issue. And there's no perfect inflation hedge. We all know that. Nothing's perfect. So they created a basket. So they looked at hundreds of different assets and said, what's the best possible basket of commodities, real estate holdings, US treasuries? What does that look like over the next 10 years to be the better inflation hedge just holding a single asset? In every single one of their analysis, Bitcoin was top 5. So again, nothing's perfect, but as a basket for to protect against market panic and inflation hedge, Bitcoin and gold go side by side.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good way to take a look at it. So I got to tell you, that was one of those talks that I had to let him just explain it to you about, again, what's going on behind the scenes, who's actually buying, what retail is actually doing. And then, of course, to talk about the good aspects of Bitcoin to just give people a refresher. So let me know what you think about that in the comments section. But I cannot let you get away with just nothing but good news. I'm going to show you something that I was kind of perplexed to actually see. And as you know, I'm not a big fan of scammers and hackers and the people that steal the hard-earned money of the people that invest and stick through it on these markets, even though it is extremely difficult, and they essentially steal the wealth from their families. It is the lowest pieces of scum on the earth. And I just saw this article and I couldn't effing believe it. Crypto drainers are now sold as easy-to-use malware at IT industry fairs. They're setting up booths, ladies and gentlemen, setting up booths so they can steal your crypto that you've worked hard for. So if you think this is easy, and people who say, oh, it's just so easy, you just woke up and invested into Bitcoin. It's not. It's tough. And if you get to the promised land, so at some point, whenever you decide that this is it, and you've made it, congratulations, because very few people can do it. This is what this is all about. Crypto drainers now sold as easy-to-use malware at IT industry fairs. I cannot believe this. In an April 22nd report, crypto forensics and compliance firm AML Bot revealed that many drainer operations have transitioned to a SaaS, or a software as a service model, I cannot believe it, known as a drainer as a service, or DAAS. The report revealed that malware spreaders can rent a drainer for as little as $100 to $300 USDT. What does that mean for you? That means that rule number 2 underneath me, where it says 100% scams, now you have to understand that every single thing that's out there is a scam. I don't care if your mom calls you and says, sweetheart, I need $100 for groceries and also for my insulin or I'm going to die. Scam. Everything's a scam. And it's just coming out even worse so. And would-be drainers, this is how the operation works. Would-be drainers users join online communities to learn from experienced scammers who provide guides and tutorials. Oh, look at that. You've got mentors. Interestingly, some drainer groups have become so bold and professionalized that they even set up booths at industry conferences. Let me say that again. Some drainer groups have become so bold and professionalized that they even set up booths at industry conferences. I swear to God, if any of you are setting up a booth at the Bitcoin conference, I will be there. I hope you set your booth up there. You pieces of trash. That's it for today. Look, if you like today's video, sorry I brought it down. Go ahead and subscribe, like and subscribe, all that great stuff. That's it for today. And now let's get into a little Q&A and I can calm down and we can go from there. All right. Star says NordVPN. That's a good one. Star's right. NordVPN, and I think we have a link in the description for that one. Try to browse anonymously. The things you want to do it anonymously. I think that's the best thing. And we'll see. Don't do it, Rob. Aye. That's all I can say. That does suck. There's always scumbags out there. There is. And it's great because this is a thing I think about. You work for your money. You take that money, you take the risk to invest it into an asset, Some may say Bitcoin, some may say traditional equity, some may say gold and silver, some may say real estate, whatever it is. But then you do all this hard work and you cultivate that and you take the time and you foster it. And then some individual comes around and in 10 minutes, it's all gone and they have everything. And there's no repercussions. And it's very hard to track these guys and gals. And I just find it like the most outrageous, egregious example of privilege that these people are getting away with it, and we're not standing up. Because I think in our industry, sometimes we place the blame on the individual and say, well, you should have done this, should have done that, not your keys, not your crypto, you screwed up. But very rarely does anybody stand up and say, you know what? Yeah, this guy maybe wasn't perfect, but they still lost everything. It'd be like walking down the street at 2 o'clock in the morning in some really bad neighborhood for whatever reason. You know, maybe you took a wrong turn. Maybe you couldn't sleep and exercising. Maybe you just wanted to get out, whatever it is. And you get mugged and you're like, well, you shouldn't have been there. And too bad that you lost all your money. No. It's not the person that happened to because they made a small mistake. It's the person that did the robbery. It's the same thing here. I just don't understand why in this industry, like we just give it away like, oh, you made a mistake, so screw you. And it comes down to, these scammers, like no repercussions. It's amazing. Damn. Texas Joe. Rob, speaking of scams, Rob, did you see what happened with Trump coin today? Nuts. So apparently, if the top 21 or 22 holders of Trump coin, I guess you guys get a dinner with Trump. I mean, that'd be kind of entertaining. Don't get me wrong. But what a scam. What a Ponzi. I mean, come on. I mean, I guess if you really want to just say, but Rob, it's a collectible. Sure, it's a collectible. Collect it all you want to. But yeah, it pumped like crazy. But just remember that, maybe the insiders who got the insider information on Trump coin, maybe they've all sold or maybe they haven't. I don't know. Maybe they still want to dump on people. I don't know. But I did see that. Maybe you got the wrong tattoo. Swiss has got a good point, actually. Maybe you got the wrong rag on. Yeah. Yeah, scammers suck. Some people do disgust me. That's the truth. I didn't say it. The person in the comments said it, but they're right. I'm going to short Trump coin. That's not a bad idea. Let's see. Eric says, just got on, miss anything big? No, just get a little hopium. Just talked about the head of institutional investments over at Coinbase, and they talked about how sovereign wealth funds were buying up while retail was dumping like crazy, which is like a tale. I think it was Plato. I think he said it is a tale as old as time. Plato in the comments, actually, not the philosopher. Just said that today. Let's see. Robert Page, are you still DCAing or smash buying? They're still going off without a hitch. So still happening. I did take a little profits today. Boo, Rob. Boo, Rob. What are you going to do? I tell you, I have rules. I follow the rules. Rule number 5, take profits. Nobody ever went broke taking profits. I didn't sell any Bitcoin, but I did sell some altcoins. Let's be honest, 99% of those are trash anyhow. Yes, you're welcome. Thoughts on Jack Mahler's new venture? I think it's called 21 Shares. Looks good. And gosh, I wasn't going to talk about this, but it is a juicy piece of information. If you guys don't know what's going on here, I just skipped this part, but Jack Mahler's, apparently he's gonna lead up a company called 21 Capital. They're gonna launch with 42,000 Bitcoin. That's billions of dollars in assets as far as AUM, and they are backed by Tether, it's a pretty good company, SoftBank, and Cantor Fitzgerald, Bitcoin Treasury Company. Who else do we know that's part of Cantor Fitzgerald? Who is it? Oh, that's right. It's Howard Lutnick. So looks like he is of course, Trump's Commerce Secretary, and he was the former CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, and now they'll be working together. So if you're not bullish and there's no ties, think again. So that's pretty crazy. And it feels a little slimy. I mean, just a little, but yeah. I turn a blind eye sometimes. Okay. Mahler's versus Saylor, who you got? I got Saylor. I want to show you guys this interview with Saylor. It's like 40 seconds. You know, there's a big thing, and I never thought about this. I always thought that Microstrategy and Michael Saylor were accumulating a little bit too much, you know, because what do they have? Like, they have 0.5% of the circulating supply. I can't remember. 0.25, 0.5%. I mean, it's a hefty amount. But there's this piece here where Saylor talks about this. And I thought to myself, you know what? That does make a lot of sense, what he says. Take a listen to this.
We'll just keep buying, right? The price is going to go up. It's going to get exponentially harder, and the price is going to go up exponentially higher, and we'll just keep buying. And at some point, you know, if we get to 5% of the supply, Bitcoin's probably going to be $1 million a coin. And if we get to 7.5% of the supply, Bitcoin will be 10 million a coin. And then if I'm lucky enough to grind to 10% of the supply, Bitcoin's going to be 50 million a coin, and someone will be whining that whatever, we have too much Bitcoin, but other people will have $400 trillion of wealth, you know? So our view is it's a ratchet, and we're just going to keep cranking on the ratchet, and there's massive leverage here. And
yeah, it's still crazy. So yeah, $400 trillion worth of wealth. But what he said there, I was like, I still don't want to have 10% of the supply. Sorry. All right. Yeah, it sucks. Or Dog Starve is right. If they only put in that much effort for something positive to make money. But here's the thing you got to understand, guys, is that it's more profitable to be a scammer. And there's very little downside, quite honestly, unless you really suck at it. So I'm not vindicating and saying like you should be a scammer. I'm just saying I get where they're coming from because the money is so easy. So what would you rather do? Would you rather work real hard and then invest into, you know, a volatile asset such as Bitcoin or such as like Ethereum or Solana or Cardano, whatever else it is, and just wait for years and years and years? Or would you just like to just, you know, blow out 10,000 emails, 100,000 emails, hope somebody responds to that, do a little phishing, and then within 10 minutes you've got, I don't know, a couple $1 million. Which one makes more sense to you? Oh yeah, it's very hard to track. And if they do track you, and even if the FBI is involved, like a friend of mine this happened to, and we say, hey, it's that wallet that they screwed us out of and they took all the funds, they'll be like, oh yeah, we'll freeze it. 3 days later, okay, we froze it. And guess what happened? The scammer got away with it. So that's just it. Scammers are probably the best investors of all time because they're investing 10 minutes to screw over people to get millions of dollars. No, and you wonder why there's so many. All right. I will get down from my soapbox now and take some questions. Saylor is all in on the chair. That's true. Yeah, kind of hard to see 10 million 93K, Brian. Brian says it right, but you know, like remember, I don't know if you guys were here in 2020 or if you were here in like 2018, you know, when it was like around 5,000 or 3,500. It was hard to swallow the different price opinions of people going, it's going to 1 million, it's going to 10 million, it's going to 100,000. We were like, yeah, maybe in like 30 years, you know, when people start to get it, that was the consensus. But now we look at it and go, okay, well, 100,000 we know is in the books. Is 200,000 that outlandish? And if we hit 200,000 and we take a look at the market cap being only $3 trillion, just to pull 10 to 20% of gold's market cap, which I don't think we can do that and not for a long time. But if we could take a little bit of gold, a little bit of equity, a little bit of the real estate wealth, I mean, at 200, 250,000, 500,000 Bitcoin is not that far off. It's just hard to think about because we haven't seen it. But once we get there, it's like just normal. Scammers are the best investors. They are. And they suck and, you know, they got to live with themselves. We'll see. Jack says, Rob, why do you and many others not talk about CASPA? Because we don't know much about it, probably. I mean, people will tell you, well, it's just this and that, but I own some. You know what talks about a lot is the guys over at Sin City Crypto. We just watch them. They do a great breakdown. I think they're heavy into CASPA. So it's not that it sucks or whatever else. It's just that, you know, first we have to get Bitcoin to go to a certain level. And then, of course, then the alts follow. So that's pretty much what happens. Mm-hmm. Hey, Jeff's here. And let me see, just a couple more questions and we'll get out of here. If there's any more, are there any more questions? J2 day. When tourist, is there a season indicator on ITC? There is. I don't think Ben would mind us breaking into his website right now. Okay. Just me and you, J2 day. Everybody else drop off. I'm just going to show this to J2 day. So anyhow, indicators. You know what's a good one? Crypto risk indicators. If you hit that little section right there, damn it. There we go. So see where it says crypto risk indicators and there's an arrow thing? Just expand that. There's a nice summary, which everything's at 0, so I guess that's pretty good. Huh. That's weird. Anyhow, this is the one that I take a look at the most. YouTube subscribers. We're taking a look at sentiment. Sentiment's pretty good. Like you can look at fear and greed index. That's a pretty decent one, or VIX and stuff like that. When you take a look here as far as like new YouTube subscribers, you can very easily see where there's like a blow off top. This was 15th of May, 2021. Oh, good times. And over here, November 2021, yeah, that's about right. And then we had a nice little pumper in March 2024. Yes, that was pretty much the top recently. And then also one December 2024 when we went back up to 100K. So that's a good one to take a peek at. Let's see what else. It's back. So what I like about this is if you're just looking for indicators, just throw them all together. Like this one's great because it'll give you a summary of like price, on-chain, and social. And like for the price metrics, it'll say like the Bitcoin risk, logarithm regression, fear and greed, like we just talked about. And then on-chain metrics, POEL multiple, transaction fees, terminal price, market cap to thermal cap, blah, blah, blah. YouTube views, subscribers, Twitter followers, whatever else. And what I like about this, I mean, that if you want to dig into it, that's cool. But I like to just show you like, this is what it looks like in a bull market. See that? Social metrics. That's when all the people are watching, all the people are signing up, all the people are, euphoric. And then let's take a look at 2017. Even hotter, right? Social metrics, on-chain, price metrics, summary. Anything above 0.8, you might want to start thinking about taking some profits at least. And then 2013, social metrics wasn't actually being measured. But then you can see that. Come on. And then let's go to like the bear market and see how it does that. Same thing. Price, on-chain metrics, social metrics. You're not even at 0.1. And then, of course, 2022, same thing. Well, social was pretty good. And now here we are. So I just like to use that one. This is a great one. And like I say, people are like, it's over. I'm like, well, some of the metrics don't say that. The summary is only at 0.27. I wonder what it was back in like April. What about March? It was pretty high in March, 0.55 for the summary. So I can see that. As far as the blow off, I'm still on the fence. I still think this year we still have room to run. Rob, are there any crypto companies that commonly sponsor YouTubers that you are suspicious of? What do YouTubers get sponsored by a lot? Like I have, so not TANGEM, because they just it's all affiliate stuff for me. Well, iTRUST does sponsorships here and there, which is nice. But I've been with them for 4 years now, and they went through like the worst bear market. I mean, if you can get through the bear market of FTX, Celsius, Voyager, BlockFi collapse and still make it out and looking good, you're doing pretty good. But as far as like the common sponsorship of YouTubers, I don't really watch too many YouTubers. I'll be honest with you. I just don't. I watch Ben. I watch Guy. I watch Tommy Crown sometimes. And Aaron Bennett. And Jason Appleton, the Crow, and some others, but not like every day. Usually it's just not. So I don't know what they're actually being given. My question is why am I not in that sponsorship package? Oh, exchanges. Everyone seems to shill exchanges. Well, if Brian's big bald head would ever get around to it and send me an email, I'd talk about Coinbase, but I guess not. Nah, I can't. It kind of sucks. Customer service is awful. Oh, VPN wallets, discounts for services. I mean, NordVPNs, I use them every so often. I can vouch. I mean, I use them, so they seem to work pretty well. Tab says, Paul Barron, obviously getting cash from XRP. We've seen the videos recently. Hey man, Paul's got it in for XRP. What are you gonna do? If XRP came to me and says, Rob, we need you to talk about XRP and we'll pay you X amount, I'd be like, well, what's the top amount of funds you can give me? Nah. I'll talk about XRP when they do good things. And you know what? It's actually not a bad project. I know some people hate it, but I still think it could do well. It's better than it's better than a lot of the banks out there. Hey, catch you live. Bob says, is it a good idea to start collecting mantra back when it's cheap? I don't know enough of the fundamentals of that project to say yes or no. And I know that we just had a major collapse, but that was because of a lot of sell-off. So I don't own it, so I can't really give you any insight into it. I don't know. And I'm going to leave it right there. This is a great response. Take the money. We know about XP. Yeah, I should just take the money. I should just rename it to Digital XRP News, and then just ride that super nice wave to retirement. Anyhow, that's it for today. Like today's video, thumbs up, subscribe, all that great stuff. As a reminder, tomorrow we have NFA Live. Me, Ben into the Cryptoverse, and Guy from Coin Bureau will be over on Coin Bureau's channel called More Coin Bureau, and we'll go over some pretty good things. There is a Guy hinted at one of the questions tomorrow, which is who would you pick as a crypto pope to bring the different fragmented sectors together? And I was like, that's a good question. So we'll be there doing that tomorrow. Everybody, thanks so much for stopping by. Appreciate you. Get out of here. Don't watch the portfolio too much. It'll still be there tomorrow. Adios, everybody.